I cannot wait for you to hear this conversation with my dear friend and friend of the podcast, Nickell. He's back to share about his family. And wow, what an incredible conversation full of so much wisdom that he shares about being with Miss Dana for 50 years now, as well as their four kiddos and the way that they've served them. Here is my friend Nick. Welcome to the family table. I'm Matthew Eford. Join me as I speak with parents, caregivers, and family experts about the joys and challenges of family life. We'll share the stories, advice, and insights that will help you build a loving and resilient family. Pull up a chair and join us at the family table. Welcome, everybody, to the Pillars of Purpose podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Eford, and I have my dear friend with me here, Nickell, a friend of the podcast. He's been on before. If you missed his episode about his faith, go back and listen to that as a belief builder. But today we're pulling up a seat at the family table, and we're going to talk all things family. And I'm so excited to hear from Nick. As somebody who's been a part of the podcast, Nick, thank you for coming back. Thank you for your friendship and your mentorship. And I enjoy spending time with you. Also enjoy spending time with you on the golf course, as a great golfer you are. And
I got you fooled.
And I aspire to be. But Nick, for those who may not know you, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about your family, kind of the makeup, and what's the role that you play in your family.
Okay. Well, once again, thanks for having me on the show. I really enjoy spending time with you, whether it's on the golf course or at Iron Forums or just going out for a cup of coffee. I just enjoy your friendship. Thank you.
Yeah, me too.
So, all right. Well, I guess I'll begin the story with my precious wife, Dana. We met on a blind date. It was almost 50 years ago. Gosh, it's hard to believe.
Congratulations. It's amazing.
At any rate, she was a 10th grader when we met on that blind date. It was my third year of college. So before you judge me, she was a very mature 10th grader. In fact, I told people she's probably the most mature young lady that I had dated. But anyway, we dated throughout my time at Annapolis. I was a midshipman there when we met.
Okay.
We dated for 2.5 years. And then I graduated and started my first tour of duty in Texas. And we had no permanent plans at all. So I went to Texas and started my Navy career. And within a month, I was completely miserable being away from her.
Cool.
I flew back a month later. Couldn't even get out of the Baltimore, Washington airport before I asked her to marry me in the parking lot. She said yes.
Love it.
And 5 weeks after that, we were married.
Let's go.
So
hey, when you know, and why delay?
I know. Well, I knew it was a lifetime commitment, and I wanted to make extremely sure about it. I'll be honest with you, I wasn't a committed Christian at the time, but I knew just how important that marriage unity was.
Sure.
And I wanted it to be a lifetime decision. So we started our Navy career. We moved. We lived in 8 states in 8 years.
Wow.
Moved all over the country.
And was that your first 8 years of marriage?
That was our first 8 years of marriage. As soon as we got married,
wow,
we were in Texas, in Florida, Idaho, New York, Rhode Island, Virginia. We were all over the place.
So let me interject real quick, Nick, right here.
Yeah,
that's a super unique perspective, right? I mean, there's a lot of families that if they're in the same house they got married in, right? What did that teach you in your marriage? What did that teach you in Miss Dana that you look back on now, almost 50 years later, and you're saying like, hey, the experience was difficult, but we learned a lot. What would you say there?
Well, it was difficult, but I'll say that's probably one of the main things that God used to form the foundation of our marriage.
Wow.
Literally, all we had was each other.
Yeah.
You move every 6 months or so in the beginning, and you don't have a foundation of family or friendships or church or anything, and all you have is each other. And that gave us a foundation that's lasted to this day.
It's amazing.
and she's still my best friend, and it's, God's really blessed it.
Yeah, I love that so much. Okay, so you're married, and so you get through the 8 years, and then what?
So then we we had to make the decision at that time of, do I stay in the Navy or not?
Okay.
And we loved our Navy experience. We lived all over the country. I literally served all over the world. I think it was in every major body of water except the Pacific,
Wow.
which is fun, but also difficult because I married Dana to spend time with her,
Sure.
and for 3 years of my seed duty, I was away from home 76% of the time,
Wow.
and the family separation was a killer for me. I
Sure.
would be months at a time at sea, and I had this ache in the pit of my stomach constantly because I missed my best friend.
Sure.
So even though we both enjoyed the Navy very much, we decided that after 8 years, it was time to start a family. We deliberately delayed starting a family because I knew it would be even
Sure.
more difficult than being away from my wife, to also be away from a small child that changes almost every day.
Yeah.
And I didn't want her to raise kids alone. So we left and started a family at that point in time in our marriage. And kids came quickly. We had our three boys less than 2 years apart, each one. So
That's
they're
awesome.
they're about a year and a half separated each.
Okay.
And then we had a miscarriage
Okay.
after our third son, Chad. And then we had Julia, our only daughter, and Dana. It was everything was great except after after she had been born, we went back for a checkup, and Dana almost bled out on the table in the doctor's office. That was a
Wow.
very difficult time for us. So
Sure.
we decided, okay, that's a signal, and we were trying to decide if we wanted more, but that made the decision easier.
Sure.
So we decided four was great. I wanted a basketball team, but we didn't quite make that.
Yeah, you got
But
your four solid, and you
we
can be
got
fifth. You
we
can be
do.
fifth.
That's we did have five children, although the
Yeah.
miscarriage,
Yeah.
But at any rate, God blessed all of that as well. So we, like I said, left service, started a family. I started a career in the Department of Energy because, being a nuclear trained officer, I had skills that I could use working for the Department of Energy
Okay.
in their nuclear world. So I worked various jobs where we either made or converted or uh, worked with nuclear materials to manage them, dispose of them, that kind of thing. Made nuclear energy for NASA and for the country.
Wow.
So, um, but all that to say, yeah, that's kind of our family. I mean, we can get into it more with
Sure.
other
Yeah.
follow-up if
So
you
I
want.
guess the thing, one of the things of many that I admire about you, Nick, is you took this passion you had for the Navy, and you said, I'm going to take my passion for the Navy and the service that I'm doing for my country, and I'm going to redirect that in a new line of work while also staying with my family. And
Mhm.
I want to be with my bride. I want to grow our family. You know, when you and her got married, you became a family, and then when you started having kids, you added to your family. But you wanted to grow your family. And how often do we have men that look back over their life and they say, you know what, I chose my career over my family? And this is not to, to put you in an incorrect position, but it's just something to acknowledge on my end, to say, hey, there are ways, men that are listening to this, that we are called to choose our family over our career in a lot of ways. And so often we miss that mark.
Yep. And that it's a tough decision. It's an individual decision for everyone. And I have some wonderful classmates at the Naval Academy that had 30-year careers in the service. They have wonderful families. They made it work. So, there's nothing negative either direction. It just
Sure.
wouldn't work for us.
Correct. Yeah. And so you made the decision with your bride to make a change, and I admire that a lot. So Nick, when you look over like your family, one of the things that we love to talk about are family memories or traditions, right? That's just a way for we got a lot of young families that listen to this and they say, hey, as we kind of are creating and building our family, we want to infuse some traditions. So when you look back over your life as a dad, what traditions, what memories, what stand out to you?
So I would say I've learned over the years that um, that I place a higher priority on gaining experiences than giving gifts. I mean, we've given our children and others gifts throughout our lifetime, nothing
Sure.
against that, but we have a priority over experiences over things. And so one of the great memories that I have for our family over the years is the family times that we spent. One of them, family vacations. We made that a priority
Yeah.
to get away and have some special time. I know you did that recently for an extended period of time with your family.
Yeah.
And those kinds of experiences are just so priceless and precious. You can't even imagine what you get back from that. So, in the experiences that we create, we did those first in the early years because we didn't have much to spend. We did camping trips. We bought a used pop-up camper. We went
Nice. Yeah. Oh yeah.
all over the country, mainly the Southeast, camping. Had a blast. The family memories that you create camping are just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Dana and I both had family camping memories from our childhoods.
Okay.
It was fun to create the same thing for our kids. And then we've grown into other experiences as well. But one of the experiences, regardless of what family vacation we take, it's just kind of become, we didn't plan on it, but it's just become that way. And what we call it is the Nickell Olympics.
Okay. Yeah. Tell me more about that.
And what we do is we develop it's a competition. Usually it's boys versus girls. And now it's three generations.
That's awesome.
Dana and I and our four kids and their kids. And we come up with fun games that are little competition things that anybody from a 5-year old on up can do and enjoy. Little things like, you know, carry a raw egg in a spoon
Okay.
in a foot race
Okay.
as a relay race as a team, or you put a piece of long toilet paper across the table. At the end of the table, you set a glass of water on top of that toilet paper,
Okay.
and each team has theirs. And so one pair of the team is pulling the toilet paper across the table without spilling the glass until they get it all the way to their end of the table, drink the water, and
That's so fun.
whoever does it fast. You can invent all kind of things. What's important is it's a blast. I mean,
And so
adults.
when do y'all do that? Is it, are you, do you house
We do
that? Do
it.
you host that the same time every year?
No, we don't have the same time for family vacation, but and not even the same location.
Okay.
But wherever we are, you can usually make it work. You can come up with things, and with Chat
Okay.
GPT nowadays, I'm sure you can get
Sure.
anything
Yeah. Sure.
created about
And
the
so
kind of thing that
y'all
you do.
intentionally, this is part of your rhythm when you go on vacation. We're going to
Yes,
play the Nickell Olympics. We're just going to
yes.
do that.
In fact, our grandkids won't let us forget that.
I love that. That's
They,
so good.
yeah. So what's in the Nickell Olympics this year? And it's usually some things, some of the events are the same and some are different, and we keep score. And it's, guys versus girls. It's great fun.
That's so fun. Is there any kind of big elaborate award? Is there some gaudy trophy? Is it get it's dessert? Is there anything that the winning team gets, or is it just bragging rights from year to year?
So far, it's just been bragging rights,
Cool.
and that's been enough. We may, raise the stakes with other things,
Yeah,
but
cool.
so far, it's just bragging rights.
I love it.
And mainly, I don't think anybody could tell you from year to year who won, but it's a blast.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so fun. So you look over your life now as a granddad, right? And this such a unique perspective, and I love talking to men in this stage in their life, men and women,
Mhm.
that they see their parenting through their kids, and they would maybe offer some different advice to themselves. So when you look over your life of like changing or challenging your boys and your daughter in responsibility, helping infuse that in them, what would you say you did well, and what advice would you give to yourself and to our audience? Say, maybe I tweaked this a little bit. Maybe we could have done that a little bit differently.
Okay. So ways to grow responsibility from
Yeah,
our children.
yeah,
Okay. Well, yeah, I was talking with Dana just the other day about this, and one of the things that we didn't do was we didn't do what people call allowance.
okay,
We feel like, that doesn't mean that we never gave our children money, but there was always something associated with it just to develop the mindset of responsibility, and there's no free lunch and that kind of thing.
sure,
So our kids had, typical to other families, home responsibilities, mowing the lawn, cleaning the house, washing the dishes, taking out trash, those kinds of things. And if they did them, then they would receive their allowance. If there were troubles, then that would necessarily happen.
cool,
So and we even joked about it. To this day, our kids joke about, I did the typical dad joke. We'd get up from the dinner table, and I would walk over to the sink and I would say, "Hey, I have an idea. How about if the kids clean up after dinner?"
what a novel and incredible idea.
Exactly. And they knew it was happening. And they go, "Oh, Dad," but and so now it's become the family joke.
I love
But
it.
they knew that the expectation is everybody chips in.
Yeah,
So you just, you grow responsibility through practical, real life.
okay,
And then we encouraged them to be innovative and try to use the skills that they had to earn money. Like
okay,
any other kids, they wanted to earn money for future things, whether it be a basketball or a car or whatever it is.
sure,
And fortunately, our boys learned how to mow our yard, and we had neighbors and friends and church members that wanted that service. So we would pack our little push mower up in the back of my truck, and we would go to other houses and they'd cut grass, and that was a great moneymaker for the boys.
yeah,
And then because all of our children became pretty accomplished swimmers, because we decided at an early age that with all the sporting activity options, you could frequently have, in fact, one weekend, I'll just be blunt with you. I was in Charleston, South Carolina on a swim meet with Cole,
okay,
and Dana was in Columbia, South Carolina in a soccer match with Ryan.
wow,
Actually, I got them reversed. Sorry about that. Cole was doing soccer, Ryan was doing swim. And we weren't a family. So we decided, although our kids did a lot of sports, our main family sport kind of focused around swimming because all four of them could go to the same swim meet. They could
yeah,
be there as a
cool,
family,
yeah,
and it just worked for us. The kids played other things. In fact, I coached all four of them at one stage of their lives in city and church basketball,
okay,
things like that. And one year, I know nothing about soccer, but after the first soccer game for Cole's team, the coach gathered all the parents and said, "Hey, my son made the traveling team, so I won't be coaching anymore. We need to coach." All the parents are looking around like, "Not me." Well, nobody would volunteer. I knew nothing about soccer, but I said, "Okay, I'll do it." So so I still don't know much about soccer, but at any rate, we had a good season
they
and
had a good time. They
it
had a good
turned
time.
out fine.
So did y'all
So
say no travel sports except for swim? Is that kind of what y'all, when you say that's your family's, like that's the
yep,
sport you say, if you want to double down on a sport, this is a sport to double down on
that's where
just
we
because
that's
we're
where
going
we
to,
landed because it involved travel, but we could travel together.
yeah, you're going to protect that family time,
Right,
protect the family unit. I love
right.
that so much
That's
because you
how it works.
see there's so many families that listen to this that have been guests on this that talk about the perspective of specifically travel sports, right? As it continues to bleed down from
Mhm.
professional through college into high school and now into middle and elementary school, that they've
Yeah.
got we've got friends that they're traveling all over the country for different sporting events, and it's like your son's not even hit puberty yet, and what are you doing? So I admire that decision, while a hard decision, and
Mhm.
something that a lot of people would listen to that and say, like, you're restricting your kids from doing something they may love to do.
Right.
And it's no, we're not. We're making, as the parents, we're making difficult decisions on behalf of our children who cannot make decisions like this yet. They
Correct.
don't know the sacrifice it's going to make for our entire family unit, and we're just going to say no on their behalf. I'm not here to be their friend. I'm here to be their parent. And God has given me the foresight and the wisdom to make and discernment in this moment. This is the decision we need to make.
That encapsulated it very well. That's exactly the conversations we had.
I love that. So when you look at, like, again, kind of training up and leading up the next generation,
Mhm.
can you tell us about the way that y'all navigated difficult conversations, like the way that you and Dana had those conversations with your kids, the those type topics like this one of, we're just going to do swim. Can you kind of take us to that moment? Give us some insight into how do you navigate a conversation that is difficult as a young man or young woman is growing into maturity, to have some of those kind of deeper conversations.
Yeah, that's a tough one for any parent. Fortunately, Dana and I had committed ourselves to Christ years before these kinds of problems arose.
Okay.
And so we had a lot of wonderful resources. We had a strong church family,
Okay.
a lot of biblical teaching through small groups, Sunday school, course sermons. Um, so my answer to that would be, you know, if you have a biblical basis for those kinds of questions in life, the difficult questions, the Bible has an answer. And what I have used as a kind of a mantra in my sons especially, but also my daughter, is that uh, godly character qualities.
Okay.
You need to have that foundation, because life is going to throw out difficult situations for you. If you don't have that foundation, you're going to crumble. And to this day, if you ask my kids, what is what do you mean by PSG? Hopefully, they'll be able to tell you that that means be patient, be selfless, and be gentle. And that's
Oh, I
what I tell
love
my
that.
boys as to how to be a husband to their
Yeah.
wife.
Yeah.
PSG, be patient, be selfless, be gentle. But again, godly character qualities, it starts with integrity. I just have taught my kids from day one, just like my dad taught me. If you don't have integrity, you have nothing. You have no foundation to stand on. And my kids, like all kids, have had to learn the hard way that when you don't have integrity, when they were at a young age and they had to learn, no, you can't get away with not telling the truth
Yeah.
or taking somebody else's toy or whatever could grow into be a life-altering mistake. You have to teach them through biblical qualities: integrity, humility, service, responsibility, obedience, wisdom, compassion. And it takes a long time to
Yeah.
live those and communicate those. It's not easy.
Yeah. It's not. It's definitely not. And I know, some of your children, and it's cool to see them living out some of those traits. And so when you look at, like, training your children, one of the things that Hannah and I struggle with, wrestle with, pray against, try to be very intentional to not do, is to not be what's coined now the lawnmower parent, right? That we're just going to come through and completely clear cut the path in front of them when they're in our
Mhm.
house, and it's going to be smooth sailing the entire way. And we're going to make it really, really easy because the issue is then when they get outside the home and life is not that way, which we shared a lot on this podcast. Like, right, life is hard. Can you give us a moment where you and Dana, with your family? I mean, you shared about your miscarriage earlier, but is there something as a family that y'all navigated through some difficult moments that you kind of look back on that moment and you can pull some wisdom out to share of how to parent through struggles or difficulties, and how to allow our kids to kind of fail in the process?
Sure, sure. First off, I'll tell you that our family is far from perfect. Like I said, we have four children. One of them has declared himself agnostic after growing up in a home that talked about Christ literally every day. And we love him. He's a wonderful adult. He's a very loving young man. We have a wonderful relationship with him, but we pray for him every day that he would come back to Christ.
Amen.
So, but another of our sons, Cole, just to tell you a brief story to kind of illustrate family struggles and challenges and stuff, is I like to tell people he became a teenager at the age of 3.
Yeah, we got one of those. Yeah.
And he was like boundless energy and always getting into trouble. And he just he liked pushing the limits.
Okay.
And he forced us to be better parents because of that. And if we got to thinking that could be prideful parents, he took us out of that.
Amen. Yeah,
And
we're there.
and it got so tough that he fought with his siblings and he was challenging to us. And I remember at one point in time, Dana and I were at the end of our rope and we were sitting there exhausted at evening. All the kids were in bed and we were thinking, should we send Cole to boarding school?
Okay.
Because our family relationships were fractured. And so I looked up online the costs of boarding school, and we quickly decided that was not God's answer for us. So, but we became aware of a mission organization called Teen Missions International.
Okay.
They're well known for taking troubled youth and giving them a purpose through a mission activity.
Wow.
And they have foreign missions and domestic missions. So Cole, at that time, he was like a 12-year-old reaching puberty kind of a guy, still wild
Okay.
and crazy. Didn't really know what he wanted to do in life, but he kind of wanted to go on this 2-week mission trip to Florida. So he earned money for the trip because it was a mission trip. Folks in the church contributed to the
Okay.
mission
Okay.
trip for him to go down there. They were going to do construction to help, rebuild. I think it was Christian school. They were going to help rebuild
Yeah.
down there and do some work, manual labor. And he went down there and he was his same old, practical joker self and pushed the limits. And he pushed so hard that uh, the leaders there just didn't know how to deal with him. And he was having so much fun down there. And he told us afterwards, he said, one of the evenings he was laying there in bed and he said, God, I am having so much fun. If you want me to change, do something big in my life. And shortly after that, it must have been a day or two later, he pushed the limit too much. And in this mission trip, mission organization that's well known for dealing with troubled youth,
Okay.
they sent him home early. They kicked him out.
Wow.
And they put him on a plane and they flew him home. And Cole later told us on the plane on the way home, he said, God, you did something big in my life.
Oh,
And
wow.
when he got home, you know how when you do a short-term mission trip, you go before the congregation and you speak about it.
Okay.
And he wanted to do that, even with that tumultuous ending. And he stood up before the congregation, explained everything, took responsibility. And we had told him, because we were skeptical before he went, we said, if something happens, you're going to have to repay all of the donations that the church gave you for this trip.
Sure.
So he did. He either repaid, he worked off all of that
Wow.
money that families had given him for that trip, and took responsibility, and that really was a turning point for him. So shortly after that, the family went to a family missions conference, and we walked out of one of the sessions, and he said, this isn't too bad. And Dana started crying. I started crying. And it was crazy. So God was doing something in his
Wow.
heart. At any rate, he said, how about if we start doing family devotions in the morning, which we had not done.
Okay.
So because I had an early day for work, for my work, I had to leave at 5:30 in the morning to get to work. So we woke the kids up at 5 o'clock each morning, get them into the little dining room there, and gather around the table, and we read mostly Proverbs, some of Psalms, and
Yeah, cool.
mostly Proverbs. And I'm convinced that that's how Julia, she was 5 at the time, that's how she learned to read, was gather around the
It's
table,
amazing.
and we would take turns reading a verse or two of a Proverbs. And Cole, stimulated that family event, and that became a cornerstone for us for many years. And then I would go to work, and Dana would, well, actually, we would put the kids back to bed because it wasn't time for them to get up yet.
Okay.
And so she would do her devotions and work out, and I'd go to work.
I love that. And what's so cool, Nick, to hear, which theoretically everybody knows this, right? Everybody knows that our kids are their own people and they will have their own relationship with Jesus Christ. As that's our hope. That's our prayer. But to practically see that lived out is so cool, right? To see God speaking to Cole and speaking through Cole and using him and working in his life. For me, I just say for me, I know there's other people that do this, but I just speak for myself. I always wrestle with, I want to control that moment so much because I feel like I can do it well enough. I can do it better. I know what's needed. And there are some moments where there's so much in parenting that stretches our faith, right?
Mhm.
That it's trusting God knows what he's doing. He knows
Right.
what he's doing with these little souls that he loves more than we do. And you look at them, and on their best days, you think no one can love them more than I can. And on their worst days, you're like, okay, maybe somebody can love them more than I can in this moment. But really, we look at them and we say, okay, my goal as their dad, as you're sharing, is not to point them to me.
Mhm.
My goal as their dad is to point them to Christ.
Right.
And ultimately, we will send, Lord willing, we will spend more time with our kids as adults than we will with them in our home, right? And
Yes.
so that perspective of man, I love that so much.
Well, as you know, many times God takes us beyond ourselves before he shows us that he really is in control. And he did that.
Yeah, yeah, man, I love that. Well, Nick, we're kind of getting to the end of our time, so let me ask you this: a couple, we kind of wrap up here.
Sure.
One, y'all homeschooled, correct?
Yes.
So
Yes.
we homeschool. There's a lot of our
Yep.
community that listens to this, the homeschool, huge fans. Tell us about that. Is that, how did that come about? How did that flow look like for your family?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because that is an important part of who we are and our story. And when we started homeschooling, it was, I guess, in the mid to late 80s.
Okay,
And there weren't a lot of homeschoolers at the time, not a lot of curricula available at the time. It was one of those new ideas that was kind of a fringe thing.
sure,
And Dana and I both grew up in public schools, knew nothing about homeschooling, but the schools in South Carolina 30, 40 years ago were not highly rated. So we wanted to look at something different.
okay,
We couldn't afford Christian schools, and we became aware of homeschool. And we decided, hey, this is not a lifetime decision. We're going to take this 1 year at a
yeah,
time.
I love that.
So our kids were young at the time. I forget, they were like early grade school, kindergarten, and we just started 1 year at a time. And Dana really enjoyed investigating curriculum and learning how to teach. So we did it and the first year, and it seemed to work well. We just kept making that decision each year, and we had we grew organically, I think, with our church family members, a homeschool organization where we could partner with each other, and that really helped a lot. So for us, homeschool was not a given, but I would advise people, don't think of it as a lifetime choice. Just make a decision to go one year at a time and then ask God to give you wisdom for the next year.
I love that so much. Right? Hannah and I have followed that same sentiment. Right? It's what we're homeschooling, and we believe this is what God's called us to do. It's difficult. There's an incredible amount of reward that comes from it, but this is not a forever decision. Right? This is a decision that we've made, and we want to walk with the Lord. You know, I was sharing with some guys this morning. Right? God's word's a lamp unto our feet and a light unto our path. That doesn't mean
Mm,
it's a spotlight that projects out over the next 45 years of our life. It's the intimacy of like, here's right here. This is what he's revealing to me, kind of like carrying a lantern as you walk along the path. And my goal is to stay right here and be faithful to what he's called me to right here. And I love the way that y'all modeled that. So, Nick, as we kind of wrap up, let me close on
mhm.
two questions. One
Sure.
that I always love to get as an avid reader myself. I know you read a bunch too. Is there any book that you would recommend from a marriage standpoint or a parenting standpoint that kind of deeply informed you as a parent, either when you read it originally or looking back on it, that you're like, man, I wish I would have had this as a young dad or young husband?
Well, Dana and I, it's been a while since we had small children. So we were talking about this question the other day. We were thinking about it, and we don't have any books that pop out at us for parenting in the early years.
Okay.
But I think, today there are tons of options out there. But I will tell you, as a husband, there are a couple of books, a few books that I've read recently that I think are very good. Stu Weber, got
Stu
the name
Weber.
wrong.
Okay. I was,
Stu Weber, my
I,
bad.
I've heard of Stu
I,
Weber. I've not heard of
I,
Ken
I
Weber.
brain
Okay.
I brain dumped. Stu
That's okay.
Weber. He's written a number of books, but he wrote Four Pillars of a Man's Heart. You may
Okay.
have heard of that. And Pillars of Purpose. You like
Yeah.
pillars,
I
but
like pillars.
he talks about the king, the warrior, the mentor, and the friend. So that's an excellent book for a guy who wants to learn more about manhood for his children.
Yeah.
I would recommend that to any father who has a middle school and up son
I love that.
who wants to teach him how to be a man.
Yeah.
And then another book by Stu Weber, Tender Warrior,
Okay.
just a great book. And then Stormy O'Mardian, a female author, she's written a ton of books, but she wrote one book called The Power of a Praying Husband.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And that's a good book.
It's a great book.
So,
Yeah, there's I think she's wrote The Power of the Praying Husband and Power of the Praying Wife. I'm pretty sure
yes.
Ann and I both have read those. Read the husband, she's read the wife.
Yep.
That I will definitely add the Stu Weber to my list.
Yeah, Stu, just to
In
tell
the
you a
new.
tell you a little more, Stu was an Army Ranger, Special Forces. He's a man's man. He tells it like it is.
Yeah,
Like, he's in your face with here's what you need to do.
yeah.
And I appreciate that. And then he left the service, became a pastor and author, just just a strong guy.
Well, I love that. It sounds similar to years ago. I read Steve Farrar's Point Man.
Uh-huh.
My dad recommended that book years and years and years ago, and it sounds somewhat similar to that. So I will look
Okay.
forward to reading Steve. Okay, so Nick, let's end on this. Thank you
Okay.
again for your time. Thank you for sharing with our audience and with me and the wisdom that we can glean from you. When you look back over your life now as a granddad, so you've been through you're a husband first, and then now you're a dad, and now also you're a granddad. Take it like 10 years ago. I kind of love to close on this thought of, if you could go back 10 years ago, a little bit younger Nick, not way
Okay.
back, but 10 years ago, Nick, what's some advice that you would give to him?
Okay. Yeah, that's very good question. Um, I guess my answer is be intentional. And what I mean by that I'll focus on, it can mean a lot of things, but I'll focus on two things.
Okay.
Of course, life is all about relationships. I always talk about the 3 R's, not reading, writing, arithmetic, but relationships, relationships, and relationships.
Yeah, I love that.
So I would say be intentional in your relationships. And what I would tell myself 10 years ago is two things: prepare and listen.
Okay. And
So
what do you mean by those?
anytime I have an opportunity to be around someone that I don't normally get to be around, whether it's a family member or a friend or whatever, prepare for that conversation. Think of good questions that you really are curious about. Be curious about what's going on in their lives, not just a perfunctory thing, but what do you want to know about them? And then listen to learn. Don't just listen to think of your next point you want to make,
Yeah.
but listen to learn. And you can show a tremendous respect for them just by listening.
Yeah.
So I would say prepare and listen. That's how to be intentional.
I love that. What an incredible way for us to end, right? That what a great reminder of we are called to listen with the intent to understand, not to respond. And so often we get those flipped. So often we listen to someone talking and we're like, oh, I want to say this, and we're not listening to them. Whether that's our kids, whether that's our spouse, whether that's our friends or extended family. What a great way for us to end.
Amen.
Well, brother, thank you for your time. Thank you for the way that you lead in your family. Thank you for the way that you lead within our forums and the way that you serve so many, including myself. Love you, brother. Look forward to playing golf soon. Thank you, everybody, for pulling up a seat today at the family table. We'll see you soon. Thank you for pulling up a chair at the family table. We hope today's conversation has strengthened the bonds that hold us together. Don't forget to follow the show to keep these heartwarming stories coming your way. If you found value in today's episode, please subscribe and share it with friends and family. And if there's someone whose family story you think would be a perfect fit for the show, drop their name in the comments. We would love to hear from you and bring more families to the table. Until next time, cherish those moments with your loved ones.